probably thinking about making a move to Portland, Oregon, but you want to know why we hate living in Portland? Well, we're going to talk all about it today in this video, and we're getting after it right now.
If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in the greater Portland metro area, then make sure you click that subscribe button, tap the notification bell, do a little dance, and you'll be the first to know about everything happening in our great area.
I am Ann Stewart. This is Erica Hagfirst. We're your go-to gals when you're thinking about making the move to put down roots right here in the Portland metro area. We love getting all of your reach outs, your texts, your calls, your emails. All of our contact information is listed below, so you know how to get a hold of us. Don't be shy. We would love to hear from you. So we have to be candid with you at all times. That's what we all are all about. And we always talk about some good things about Portland
And some bad things.
But, you know, we thought it'd be, important to share with you some of the things that we don't like about living in Portland. And
shocker, it's not a perfect place. No place is.
Nope. And you should know about them because if you're thinking about coming here, moving here, living here, then it's important to know what maybe perturbs us as Portland, Oregonians, lifers in my case.
Portlanders.
Yes, I've seen it through thick and thin here in the Portland metro area, and I can say that it is a wonderful place to live, but it surely is not perfect. And there are some things that I hate about living here, and I'm going to share those with you. So let's begin. Okay, the first one we want to talk about is there's this whole attitude about affordable housing. And affordable housing is a problem here in Portland. We hate it because we get a lot of people who reach out to us who want to buy a house. And when they tell us about their budget, it either doesn't exist at all or the type of housing you get sucks.
Yeah.
And it's been a pain point for the better part of the last 5 to 6 years here in Portland as we have gone up so fast, especially during COVID times. And I know the city has all these regulations about creating affordable housing.
Yeah,
and so they're trying. So what they've done is like every time a developer brings in a subdivision, they're required to put a certain percentage of that subdivision in affordable housing, which usually means pretty much just smaller, denser, and it's really not that affordable.
It's, to be honest, I mean, we just had some people looking even up to the mid-5s, and what you get up to the mid-5s in Portland for a detached type property is not exciting. I mean, I hate to say this. They're building in such a fashion to make so much housing that's quote unquote affordable. It's not, and you're not getting a super sellable property at the end of the day. Some things that have become big are the alley entrance or detached or cottage style homes. Those you get very little yard, if any. And then the other thing is a detached condo, which is a little bit sketch in my book, but the detached condo, you still kind of only own from the studs in. And they're building these so close to each other that if anything were to ever happen with a neighbor, you're gonna be affected. And you're having to sign away a lot of rights with these things. And, it's, again, affordable housing really comes down to, they are trying to hit a population. So a lot of times you'll see that there's, a great price, but that's the price only if you qualify financially, which, okay, we want to help you, but those are very few and far between. And there are a lot of these really kind of specialty properties, especially if you're right in Portland. We've seen situations where they've taken a lot, scraped the house, and literally built 3 homes, one right behind the one in front of it. And it's just kind of wild.
It's weird housing.
It's very weird, awkward, and those are still, actually, some of those were actually almost $600,000.
I know.
And that is not affordable for most people.
I mean, when we're talking about affordability, we're talking about people that are on incomes that are not making it so they can qualify for $600,000+ houses, even maybe in the 500s. Gone are the days where you can find a single family home in the Portland metro area in the 300 to 400 range. You have to go way out to get into the 400 range.
Or buy a wild fixer.
Yeah, and so, and again, those stipulations for your income don't apply in those areas. So as far as like what you're gonna buy, it's just weird how they're doing it and trying to apply it so that, they meet the standards.
I think in a perfect world, this is, unfortunately where government regulation doesn't meet reality. And it would be great if we did have affordable housing. I mean, there is a population that it would be great if we could find that, but we're not. What is being produced in terms of affordable housing is really not that. And it's not helping the people who really need it. And we do need, homes for people who can't, hit $500,000 for a home. And we would love to see it, but we are not producing it right now. And we just can't.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I hate about the development factor in general, which is kind of like what we're talking about, but is they're allowing builders and developers to put houses, even just single family homes of any price. I mean, we've seen it at $1 million where they put houses on the tiniest lots that they can get away with. And we're talking like patios. We're not even talking about yards. It's almost, embarrassing when you're out there showing properties and there's like, oh, here's your yard. And it's like a patio just big enough to put a barbecue in one chair.
I just showed a new construction. This has probably been a couple months ago in Portland. It was an infill property and you literally had a sidewalk all the way around the property. That was as much yard as you were getting. There was no garage. It was a carport. And this is the sad reality is that, we're not keeping those things intact. I mean, there is no green space. And I agree, like we need better setbacks in terms of what's being built and what's happening with our affordability.
And that comes back down to the land is just so unaffordable. I mean, honestly, developers are paying a fortune for the land, and so they're trying to cram as much profit out of the land as they can when they're building. Yeah. I understand that concept, and yet that house is going to be there for hopefully 100 plus years.
Probably not 100 years.
Yeah, maybe not. But you think you walk in and you're like, okay, like we went to a subdivision not that long ago where it's like itty bitty lots for $800,000 houses, and you're thinking, dang. Anyway, that's a big beef we have. Is this affordable housing, small lot, density?
Yep.
Yeah,
it's becoming a problem.
Okay, the other thing we want to talk about that we hate is that we've kind of gone a little mismanaged or a lot mismanaged when it comes to all the homeless issues. And let me kind of start back with, we've always kind of had a homeless issue. Every metropolitan does. Of course, it got significantly bad during COVID. But what we're dealing with now is the fact that they are taking taxes. If you make over $120,000 in the Portland metro area, you're going to pay towards the Portland metro housing tax, which is fine. I'm happy to pay my share of taxes to help a problem that exists that is very difficult to manage. So all of us have paid into this that are, qualifying, and which is great. They've, filled the coffers, they've got the money, they've got the resources now. Unfortunately, recently they've announced that they are short in this tax. Like they aren't getting enough money or it's been mismanaged. People are sort of pissed, which I am. I'm like, hey, if I'm going to pay taxes, which I'm fine to do, to help a problem that exists, and they're getting millions and millions and millions of dollars. I mean, significant money. And then within less than 2 years of starting this tax, they say they're out of money. Where's the money? Where's the issue here? It's a gross mismanagement of money that we're all contributing to. And now they're wanting more money. Like that is something they need to take the money they're getting and decide how they need to be very transparent about it. So there's a big beef going on right now with those of us that are like, hey, we're all paying towards this. We're fine with it. But we want to see it managed better and not run out of funds in 2 years.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think, some of the things we're providing a lot of services, but I'm not really sure. I think most people aren't feeling like these services are necessarily being utilized the best. They're not helping the population that is in need, and that population's growing. So we all want to contribute and help them, but at the end of the day, we need a government that is helping to make sure that we're not just tossing money at a problem that isn't helping.
Yeah.
So, be wary. I think that leads to a bigger thing that we'll talk about a little bit later. But the homelessness, and how they're being serviced and helped isn't necessarily helping them get out of their situation. And I think that we would all, in the greater Portland metro area, like to see that be the situation. We'd like to see them be able to get back on their feet, to become, contributing members of society and live a little bit, safer, better life for themselves. And our money from these taxes are not going towards that right now, and that's disappointing.
And I think also just perpetuating the issue, like if they're providing services that are in keeping them on the streets, keeping them living in tents and taking drugs, that's where I think a lot of us get frustrated because it's actually bringing in more homeless, and then there's more people to manage, and then funds are needed. It's like, let's come up with smart, manageable ways and transparency with the public who's paying these taxes to say, hey, we want to take care of these people in the way they need to be taken care of, whether it's mental health, drug addictions, housing, etc., and say this is how we're going to do it without perpetuating this problem where we're just going to constantly need more and more money that increases the taxes that us as individuals are paying. Because most people are fine to pay the tax. It's not a matter of we don't want to pay the tax. Yes, it sucks to pay taxes. However, if it goes towards the cause that fixes the problem, I think a lot of people would raise their hands on that one. It's more about let's manage this and use the money we have, which they're getting a lot of.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the frustration for I hate to use the word hate because it's such a strong word, but it does make you start to feel a little bit like, okay, Portland, get your crap together, right? So if I drive down the street and see a homeless person on the street, I'm like, okay, where are the funds?
Yeah.
Take care of that person.
Yeah. Well, I think we could probably roll into one of the things I hate about Portland.
Let's do it.
And it's the taxes. I mean, our property taxes. We are wildly high in property taxes. And I think a lot of people, just like we're questioning what's happening with the homeless, we're questioning what's happening with our property taxes because we were just told that we have a massive deficit in our budget. And, when you go down into Portland, I mean, a lot of these homes, especially at the closer end, you're minimally paying around $10,000 in property taxes for these properties. And it doesn't have to be anything special. I mean, that could be, a $700,000-$800,000 home.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of homes that are significantly more.
Yeah.
I mean, significantly.
Especially in Multnomah County, because Multnomah County has one of the highest property taxes out there. And there are people that literally move out of Multnomah County because of the property taxes. Yeah.
And it becomes a point of contention when people are even looking at homes. They just realize they're like, I can afford the purchase price, but I cannot afford, this much in property taxes every year. I mean, there are homes, and these are, a little bit more luxury, but where, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in property taxes. And that's a significant amount of home. And so, it becomes an issue where I think that, they're taxing, we get frustrated because what are the taxes going for? We don't have great infrastructure. We're not seeing the benefits of paying these really high taxes. I think that we would all be a little bit more agreeable to what's happening if we had amazing streets and we had a really happy, like our downtown area was vibrant and really, businesses felt supported and people felt supported, but that's not really the case right now. And I think that that's where we're struggling to understand like what's happening with, the copious amounts of property taxes that we're paying on these, especially in Multnomah County.
I'll add to the tax conversation, which is that when you work in Multnomah County, and we do, and we're business owners because we're classified under that, you actually start paying about 4 to 6 times more tax on every dollar you make in Multnomah County. Obviously, we work a lot in Washington County, Clackamas County, but the metro area is Clackamas, Multnomah, Washington County, and we are asked every year for our taxes to add up what we've sold in the Multnomah County area, and we're paying City of Portland, TriMet, federal, state, homeless, like it goes on and on. Again, it's like what's going on in downtown Portland, kind of segueing, is that a lot of businesses have left the downtown
They just
core.
can't do it.
We've talked about that. And so they're actually created a vacuum over the last few years since COVID where businesses don't want to be around the homeless. There's more crime happening. They're not renewing their leases. They're not going in as new businesses. And a lot of them have gone out of business because they don't have as much, Patreons because people have left the inner core. So they actually are having a huge vacuum with the inner core taxes. And now they're starting to kind of freak out a little bit because now it's catching up to the city of Portland where they're like, oh, we need more tax money to support all the things. And yet the businesses that was paying them taxes. So my beef, what I hate is seeing not supporting businesses that support Portland, that support people working, paying taxes, that support patrons going in and using those services. It's a cycle of life, right? And so now we have seen a lot of improvement in the downtown area, but it's going to take a long, long time. And they've got to create incentives.
But I think that we've both been here. Obviously, Ann grew up here. I've been here for probably, 27 years now. Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, we're still not back to where we were in our heyday. Portland is still a struggling city, in my opinion, when it comes to them as a city supporting and really returning the downtown area to a place that people want to be on a regular basis, businesses want to be, because I've had friends who are business owners and really wanted to be down there, and we're creating multiple businesses, and they've been pushed out and they haven't been supported, and they've just been basically told to it's too bad, and that's unfortunate.
It's definitely one of those things where I think as we go forward, we're keeping an eye on it. They are creating some tax incentives around, I got something in the mail about 1.5 years ago that said if you come downtown and you sign a 5-year lease, you can have a $250,000 tax credit incentive. They're trying now to get businesses back. And I have heard and seen that a lot of businesses are trying to break back in cautiously. And they're also trying to, if you haven't seen the news about, they're designing although it's not 100% yet, but they're trying to bring a waterfront, activity event area where they're trying to bring more people back. And also they're trying to bring
a Major League Baseball team to Portland.
And if they do those things successfully, it can kind of push the commerce back into those areas pretty quickly. So yet to be seen. We're keeping tabs on it, so stay tuned.
All right, so another thing that I really have a great disdain for in the Portland metro area is our traffic. And I know people who move here from other areas say, oh, it's not so bad. It is. And I think the problem with it is it's not just traffic times or like, 8 or 9 in the morning. It's not commuting times. It's all the time. I mean, and it's just for really silly things. I don't know if this is just a general thing with people in driving and maybe the next generation's coming up. But, you constantly see, my niece coined this term forever 40s. And it's like they're always doing 40 miles an hour. So they'll do 40 miles an hour on a freeway, and they'll do 40 miles an hour in the city. And they just always stay at 40. But we see a lot of just A, incompetence, and B, traffic. And we're such a spread out city in, regards to the fact that like our transit is not great. Like our Max train, not great. It's not safe in a lot of areas, and then it's a very slow process to get from point A to point B. Obviously we have buses and we have the tram system if you're in Portland, but most of our people, exactly. The suburbs aren't great for mass transit other than the bus. And the bus is great, the bus is fine, but we really are just so, we have so many people that want to be on the road, and that's fine. It's just we don't have the infrastructure for it.
It's not efficient. I mean, public transportation, in theory is a great idea. And long ago when Portland was being designed, they had high hopes that everyone would go towards public transportation. That was actually a big incentive for the MAX and the bus stations. But what we've realized over time is that there's so many areas where people commute to out of the suburbs and further areas that it's not efficient to get on a bus in the morning and expect to get on it throughout the day and get to and from. There's not a great system in general for the public to use on a consistent basis. And as Erica mentioned, it's had a lot of safety issues. So for a lot of us, it's like, I wouldn't get on it just because of the safety issues we're aware of. And it's become a place where a lot of transients tend to use it. And it's just, when you think about how people in Portland work and live, it just doesn't work.
I think
for
that's
a lot of us.
That's the biggest thing is, there have been times in my life where I've actually lived very close and I was like, oh, okay, I could hop on this and I could go to work and then I could hop on. But I also make a lot of trips during the day. Like you're running to the store, you're running to go do things, you're running to meet friends. And so we're just not set up in the essence to be super, super dependent, in my opinion, on mass transit, which means we're going to be on the roads and we're just not planning for that traffic or that, amount of people to be on the road. I mean, we've had, like I said, I've been here probably 27 years or so, and Highway 26 on the west side has always been under construction at some point along the way.
True.
And, it's like they need to take that into account. Highway 217 right now is undertaking some big, massive renovations. I know it's hard. We have to go across the river. We have to go across the city. But that is where Portland is failing, is in the planning of what does our transit system look like, other than just trying to make us all go onto mass transit, because it's not reality. It doesn't work for most people's lives out here.
And also, we're one of those cities where we're kind of a small, big city. Like if I go to Florida to visit family, they have like 6, 8 lane freeways, and they too are always expanding because of their population boom. But they have the room for it. Whereas here in Portland, we don't have a lot of room to expand our freeway systems. We just haven't, they didn't design it that way and they didn't expect for it. So yeah, they're always working on it, but it always seems like once they get one lane added, we're needing another. So it's just like, you got to think when you're traveling around Portland, as small as it is, because in theory, like when I started in real estate 20 years ago, you could get back and forth across town really fast. But now because of traffic patterns, you have to look to see where the traffic is and also where the construction's happening.
Yeah, and construction, they're not always great about like putting that on the map sometimes, but you really have to be aware of what's happening with that. And it's easy for it to take almost, I feel like everything used to be 25 minutes to get to, and now it's really about 45 minutes plus to get anywhere that you need to go. But yeah, I think it's just the planning, and we stress a lot when people are thinking about relocating out here to live near where you work or in a middle ground, so that you're not having to struggle with the traffic as much. And most people generally find that if you're working on one side of the river, then you should probably live on that same side of the river.
All right, thank you for joining us as we discuss the things that we don't like about living in Portland. Those are really the top ones. I mean, other ones are kind of just nuanced stuff, but
Yeah.
you know, if you're thinking about making a move here and putting down roots and living here,
You should know the good and the bad.
hopefully you stayed till the end to listen to all of it, because these are like what a lot of people tend to talk about and you're probably familiar with if you've been studying things about Portland. If you have comments, drop them below.
Yeah, what do you hate about Portland?
Maybe you don't know yet. Maybe you're a local here and you want to add one, do it in the comments.
Yeah.
And better yet, if you're planning on moving here, reach out to us. All of our information is listed below. We'd be happy to help you, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.
Bye.